Hi, I'm Dan Chambers of Chambers Law Firm, and thank you for visiting the website and checking out this video series. This is part 3 of a much longer series that I'm doing about the lifespan, if you will, or the anatomy of a criminal case. If you watched episode 2, you saw and heard us talk about the importance of a crime scene visit, that it has to be done early in the case, and it has to be done with purpose. You have to go out there knowing what it is that you're looking for. So, in this particular episode, we're going to move sort of to the end of the case, and you may be saying, wait a minute, why are we jumping ahead? And here's why. This episode is all about jury instructions. Jury instructions are the actual law that is read to a jury after the case has been tried, and they have to apply the facts to the law given to them by the judge. So for example, if it's a robbery case, at the end of the trial, the jury is going to be given the jury instructions, the law of robbery. What does the prosecutor have to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of a robbery? So now you're probably saying, well, why are we talking about jury instructions at step 3 of this series? Well, here's why. When a client comes in the door and they hire us to represent them, whether it's a DUI or a robbery or a murder, the first thing that I do from a legal perspective is I pull the jury instructions. I want to know what elements does the prosecutor have to prove this charge. So for example, in a robbery, there are usually 6 elements. They're called elements. The DA has to prove each of those elements beyond a reasonable doubt. In a DUI case, for example, there are only 2 elements. Every crime has a different number. So what I do is I pull the jury instructions for whatever the crimes are that you're being accused of or charged with. And I start going over the elements and saying, where can I develop reasonable doubt? Where can I punch holes in this case? Where are the weaknesses among these elements for this crime? And really, the reason that I do that is it lays out the roadmap for the entire case. Let's say you're charged with a robbery and you come into the office and you tell me the story of how this all went down. And I look at the elements and say, wow, it's a really weak element on the fact that this person used force or fear to get the property. Looks like the property might have just been lying on a table. The person grabbed it and left. And for some reason, this victim is saying, no, they actually used force against me to take it. Now we've got a factual issue in the case, and that element might be missing or weak, that you took it by force. So guess what? Now I'm going to focus all my discovery efforts on that. I'm going to go out and have my investigator interview witnesses, if there were any, to try to establish that the DA cannot prove that that property was taken by force or by fear. And if I can do that, maybe I can get a better plea bargain offer. Maybe it's a case we take to trial and win because that element's lacking. So the jury instructions are vitally important because it tells you where you need to focus your investigation, where you need to focus your defense, and what discovery to ask the DA for to help you develop those weaknesses in their case. So jury instructions, I pull them early, I look at them because it's a roadmap for me for the rest of your case. Thank you.